Thank you so much, Brian, for that introduction. And it's a pleasure to join you and the other distinguished panelists. And we have condolence motions for the death of Queen Elizabeth today. So that process in the House may prevent me from joining much of the discussion. But it is indeed a real privilege to talk about Australia's place in the Indo-Pacific through the lens of shared identity. The Indo-Pacific is the most dynamic and evolving region of the world today, and even as other regions are rightly subject to focus and attention, it's absolutely appropriate that today we turn our attention towards this region, our region. Australia has an obligation to help our neighbours, not only in the Pacific, but right across Southeast Asia to achieve their potential. I know we did a lot of good work when we were in government, and I was interested, Excellency Anna Tong's referral to marine protected areas. As Environment Minister, I was able to establish 2 new marine protected areas in the Christmas and Cocos Island region, bringing Australia's network to definitely one of the largest in the world. For those who don't know me, I am, as you said, Brian, Sussan Ley, and I'm the Deputy Leader of the Federal Opposition in Australia. And I'm really grateful to be holding this role at a critical moment for women in Australia and the region in my shadow ministry for women. We are seeing women continue to stand up, make their voices heard, and make a real difference in business, in our communities, and in the workplace. And a big part of my role this term will be listening to those voices, understanding those concerns, and building solutions to help women achieve their aspirations. When it comes to women's rights, we're seeing this momentum right across the region and indeed across the globe. The protests in Iran about wearing the hijab that are becoming louder, clearer, and more consistent, I think are a real turning point and a real focus for women in our support globally for all women. My clear message to you is that we need these issues not to be just seen through a social justice lens, important though that is, but we need to understand women's issues as economic issues. Supporting women meet their aspirations isn't just the right thing to do morally, it's good economics. The IMF has found higher female labour force participation is closely linked to faster, more resilient and more inclusive economic growth. Developed countries like Australia have a responsibility to lead the way on female economic participation. And we know there is work to do in Australia and across the Pacific, increasing female economic participation, because it's one of the areas where we do see the biggest bang for our buck. Because in the Pacific, outside the agriculture sector, men outnumber women in the workforce by approximately 2 to 1. So I would like us all to commit to making the advancement of women and their standing in our communities a key part of any consideration when it comes to shared identity. Often when we consider our region, we consider the megatrends and the macro factors, the emerging technologies and the tectonic shifts. But we can't forget at the end of the day so much of what we want to see: higher employment, more opportunities to upskill, and more resilient communities. So much of that comes down to human connections and giving someone a go. As an Australian, I think a good bridge between our communities is that concept of a fair go. A fair go is what we Australians want to see for our region. Australia is acting to support the region's health and economic recovery and to bolster longer term stability and strategic balance. With 60% of the world's population, the Indo-Pacific is projected to be the largest contributor to global growth over the next 30 years. The Indo-Pacific is Australia's neighbourhood and the world's most consequential region. Australia's vision for the Indo-Pacific is based on principles that have underpinned decades of stability and prosperity. Openness, including open and secure markets that facilitate the flow of goods, people and ideas. Inclusiveness in our region's architecture and in a regional order, which allows many voices, perspectives and players. Resilience to coercion, as well as to natural disasters and climate change. And based on rules, norms and international law, where the rights and sovereignty of all countries are respected regardless of size or power. Australia and other countries are not bystanders. We have agency and opportunity to shape the longer term future of the Indo-Pacific. And we know that if we want a more resilient region, our shared identity is vital. And in my capacity as Shadow Minister for Skills, Training and Industry, I know so often when we learn and work alongside each other respectfully, we build enduring connections. That is why we invest in shared opportunities for people from across our neighbourhood to come to Australia as part of their journey to achieving their potential. I'm proud that the Australian Government's education and skills training assistance to Indo-Pacific countries are development partnerships provided through our $4 billion official development assistance program. Some of our flagship skills and education programs, including the Australia Awards scholarships, which provide opportunities for people from developing countries, particularly those in the Indo-Pacific region, to undertake full-time undergraduate or postgraduate study at participating Australian universities and technical and further education institutes. In 2022, DFAT is offering 2,075 Australia Awards scholarships and short courses to 27 partner countries. The Australia Awards Women's Leadership Initiative is another program working to increase the number of Pacific women who hold positions of influence in all sectors and spheres of society. We're also investing in skills across the region through the Australia Pacific Training Coalition to provide vocational education and training qualifications. And that coalition works collaboratively with national governments, various development partners and organisations, and Pacific vocation and education and training institutions regionally across 9 Pacific Island countries, including our near neighbours PNG and the Solomon Islands. These programs are making a difference on the ground in nations right across our region. And I hope the new Labor government continues our strong record of investment in supporting nations across our region, because those programs provide the strength for us to enhance the shared identity that is critical. And I completely acknowledge His Excellency's remarks about the culture of the relationships and the need to make sure that those partnerships are equally participative, if I can coin a phrase that's probably not quite correct, Brian, but also that there is frank and free-flowing discussion about how we work closely together, respecting absolutely the needs and the wishes of our near neighbours. All of us, governments, industry and NGOs, have a role to play in building up the opportunities for countries across the Indo-Pacific. And in this forum, and my knowledge of participation in previous GAP forums knows that there are real issues to discuss. It is right that we ask the questions, what more can we do? What new approaches should we be adopting? Are the voices in this discussion new and needing to be amplified? So thank you for your attention, and I look forward to everybody's contribution. Thank you.